Hello, 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 hello. Here we are tonight, season 2, episode 1 of the C Note. I'm your host, Carl Taze Ransom, and this is the C Note where we keep it 100 and the real recognize real. We also see you fake asses out there too, waiting for my very special guest, Mr. Jeffrey Ladrae, to come on up in here tonight. He should be joining me any second, but I can't believe it, folks. I am right here, right now, waiting for him to join me. He just texted me just now, so we need to get this very important conversation cracking. So about to get this thing going, y'all. So how y'all doing out there this evening? I'm waiting for folks to come on up in here. I'm excited about this conversation. It's going to be a good one, y'all. There he is right there. There he is. All right. I need you to okay, there we go. Should be going, popping up on the screen in a second. All right, there you go. What's up? What's
How are
up?
you, sir?
I'm fine. And yourself, sir?
I am doing well. Let me
Ask me what's up.
mention some folks who would love to see this.
Okay. I'll introduce you in a second. Once
All
you
right.
do that.
I'm done.
Oh, you done? That's quick. All right. Well, people, right here we have Mr. Jeffrey Ladrae. He is a host of his own podcast, not one but two, Catfish and Code Red. And he is very passionate about progressive black politics and poverty. Am I correct? And you're
Yes.
also um, an educator, but I didn't really get much into that. But you're a very intelligent brother.
Yeah.
And we're going to have this conversation tonight talking about our Juneteenth. And when we first decided to do this podcast, that was before we had any idea that they were trying to make this so-called, legal holiday, you know.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's the funny thing I was going to talk about. Well,
Where'd
first,
you
thanks
go?
for
I don't
having
see
me.
you.
I've been a big
Uh
fan of yours before. I mean, I've known you. You know what I'm saying? But of what you do. Um,
huh.
and I always joke. I'm like, you are the blackest friend I have. You don't
I
play. I'm just saying.
don't.
Like, look at the background. And
Right, right.
I'm new to
Uh,
doing this Instagram thing, so
mhm.
thanks for
I know
teaching me.
you're normally on
Facebook.
Facebook. I know that. I know that. But we're just gonna get into it. I got so much going on right now because I'm pulling things together to shoot my next film, which I'm
Yes.
very excited about.
All right.
I don't know if you saw it last night, but I did an interview with one of the cast members on
I
here
saw that.
last night.
I saw
Yeah,
that. I saw part of
definitely.
it.
What you say?
I saw part of it. I need to finish.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
because
okay.
I had my own thing going
Mhm.
on too. So
Right. I understand
yeah,
that. Definitely. But we are here tonight to talk about Juneteenth and some more stuff. Um our Juneteenth, what it means, and the fact that some of our people don't even know what it means,
sure.
and should we be celebrating the 4th of July?
No,
Um well, I already know that, as you know, but
well,
we're
people
gonna
don't
talk
understand
about
why.
it.
Every year during
Yeah.
4th of July, I post Frederick Douglass' speech, and I literally
Hmm.
have people go, "Why do you keep posting this?" And I said, "If you notice, I keep posting it, right?
Right.
But you have to ask where I am. You would have known the answer if
Hmm.
you listened.
Right.
But we're in a
Yeah.
society. We are in a society. I apologize. We
No
have
problem.
we're in
Hmm.
a society where
He
unfortunately,
wants to talk too. Yeah,
huh?
go ahead.
Well,
I said he wants to get in on the conversation.
look, there
Go
she
ahead.
is. But no, well, 4th of July. Let's start there because that actually will segue into this. Just like Columbus Day,
Okay.
people don't understand. It's so funny how
Hmm.
people have the same energy for Columbus Day to say Indigenous People Day. It's so funny how white folks and people know and understand that energy, right?
Right, right.
But then when we say we need our own holiday, they're quick to quote and say, "Oh, well, you have Martin Luther King Day," but
You
yet we
know, I
celebrate the
yeah.
independence for a country who had the independence. Notice what I'm saying. But yet we
Uh-huh.
were only hold on. Hey, we were only considered 3/5 of a person
Right.
when they did that, and
Yes.
the slaves were literally sitting there on the plantation, watching as they were celebrating. It's a
They're
big kick. It's
independent.
a slap in the face.
And we were not just sitting there on the plantation. We were being beaten, tortured, raped, and everything else while
And
they were
sold away.
celebrating their
And sold away
independence
from our family.
and sold away from our families. That's why we should not be celebrating the 4th of July. Now, as far as what I may do on the 4th of July, I may get together with some friends and family, but it's
Yeah,
just to
that's what I was
get
gonna
together with
say.
friends and family. They don't celebrating that flag, that red, white, and blue flag that is stained with the blood of our ancestors. Okay, I don't celebrate that
Right.
flag. I don't have no respect for that flag. Because people want to talk
Right.
about stuff that happened a long time ago. That shit is still happening
That's
today.
always their thing. It was a long
You
time
know,
ago.
yeah, that shit is still happening today. I'm a brother who myself has experienced police brutality and
Me too.
being assaulted by racist cops. For merely existing
Me
while
too.
being black. I wasn't doing shit wrong, but
Right.
they would disrupt our lives
Right.
just to fill a racist quota. Because when
Right.
I was arrested and assaulted, that's what it was about. I heard this white cop say that when he got us to the police station. That he said his exact words I would never forget. He said, "Oh yeah, I got me a lot of them tonight. I made my quota." That's what he said. I like to keep the boss happy. That's what he said,
Mm,
and he was laughing about that shit.
mm,
Okay.
mm.
Now I'm going to tell you, which I talked about before, but I'm going to tell you briefly about my situation, this particular situation that happened to me. As you know, I'm in the performing art. I came home late one night from a rehearsal for a play,
Right.
and I can cook, but I didn't feel like cooking this particular night. So there's a carry out that's a couple of blocks away from where I live.
Okay.
So I said I was going to call in this order and then walk around there and pick my food up. But I was going to wait a few minutes because it was only 2 blocks away and I walked fast.
Mm.
So when I got around there were 4 black guys sitting on the bench because there's a bus stop in front of the carryout. Okay. And I knew one of them. And he sings and he knows I sing and he likes that song from the Wiz, which I like that song from the Wiz too, Be a Lion. So he wanted to get into a little singing thing, wanted to sing Be a Lion out on the street corner. I'm like, bro, I'm just trying to go pick up my food and go home tonight. Okay. And as I was saying that, one other black guy walked up. So that made it
Mm.
was 6 of us out there. That made it was 6 of us out there in one spot. So when this white cop pulled up, I guess he figured he hit the jackpot, right? He saw 6 black guys in one spot. So to him, he was like, "Oh, 6 niggas." I don't like the word niggas. I'm not a nigga. I don't call other black people niggas.
Yeah.
The only time you will hear the word nigga come out of my mouth is on stage. Like I've been in some plays where I've been in characters
Right.
where I had to use the word, like in
Right.
some August Wilson plays and stuff like that. But in my own personal life, I don't go around calling black people niggas. I call black men and women kings and queens, gods and goddesses. Now, some
Yes,
people may
you
get
always have.
offended.
I'm
Yeah, and
getting
some
better
people
with
may
doing
get
that too.
yeah, and some people may get offended when you say God, when you call a black man God or a black woman goddess. But that even says that in the scriptures. Know that you are God, right? That says that in the scriptures. Know that ye are God, because
Right.
we're supposed to be made in the image of God, and that spirit lives within inside of us. But they want to be all highfalutin and holier than thou. Like, who do you think you are to say that you're a God? Well, you don't really know what you
Right.
you don't know what you're talking about, right? But
Right.
anyway, with this situation, this cop pulled up and he says, "Are y'all waiting for the bus?" Because it was a bus stop.
Mm.
They said, "Yeah, they were waiting for the bus." He told them that they were lying because he had driven around there several times that night and that they were out there for a long period of time. Okay, even if they were out there for a long period of time, they weren't really
It's not against
bothering
the law.
anybody. They were just sitting there laughing and
Right.
talking on
Unless
the
there's a no
park bench.
loitering sign. Right.
Right. Now that's what he supposedly charged us
That
with,
doesn't
right?
matter. They could have
So
been out there doing some kind of work or activists or
hmm
passing out. Oh, go ahead.
right. So
I
what
get it.
happened was I figured he wasn't talking to me, right? Because I just got there. I
Okay.
wasn't even out there for a whole minute. So I figured he wasn't talking to me because he didn't see me out there. If he drove around there earlier that night, he didn't see me. So I walked away and went to the carryout to get my food, to pay for my food and take my black ass home. But I did not get to go home that night. Okay. I didn't get to go home that night. When I went in the carryout, he came in behind me and he said, come back outside. I said,
Mm.
"Officer, you just said you drove around here several times tonight. And so then you know that I was not out there.
Right.
I just got here." He
Mm.
said, "Either you can go the easy way or the hard way." That's what he said. "Either you can go the easy way or the hard way." I said, "But why, officer? I haven't done anything wrong. I
Why is
just
it
came
gotta
around here
be?
to."
Why is it gotta be so aggressive or hostile? You know?
Right, right. So I said, I said, "Look, I didn't do anything wrong. I just came around here to pick up my food and go home. I live 2 blocks away from here. I just saw somebody outside that I know and I just stopped to speak." He said it again. "Either you can go the easy way or the hard way." So I went outside with him. Now, I've talked about this on Facebook before. I suffered a brain injury as a child, okay, which still affects me in some ways today, but nothing like that. But I don't let it stop me. And
Right.
doctors told me that I wouldn't be able to do much of this and that because of that brain injury, because half my brain is supposed to be damaged according to CAT scans and MRIs and stuff like that.
Right.
But I didn't let
Look,
what doctors told me
but
stop me.
God.
But exactly. But at this time in my young adulthood, I was on seizure medication because of that, right? And I told this white officer that I was on seizure medication
Oh,
and I
I
was
already know
supposed
this
to
is
take,
going. Mm-hmm. I
and I
already
was
know this
supposed
is
to take,
going. Mm-hmm.
right. And I told him I was on seizure medication and I was supposed to take a pill at night before I went to bed. That's when and there was a time I couldn't tell this part of the story without getting really emotional and breaking down
Okay.
because I was
That's okay.
traumatized by,
These are traumatizing things.
right. I was traumatized by that. Okay. He took both of his nasty pale white hands and grabbed me around my throat. He grabbed me around my throat and said, "I'll make you have a fucking seizure
Yeah.
if you don't do what I say." Those were his exact words. "I'll make
Carson,
you have a
before
fucking
you
seizure." Right?
even continue, let me stop
Mm-hmm.
there for a second. And this is
Mm-hmm.
something I tell our black brothers and sisters. There are some who still deny that there are situations that happen like this. I have white
Right.
friends who I have explained. I'm not going to get into my story today. Everybody knows
Mm-hmm.
the issue. I had an issue
Mm-hmm.
once. I had my own Sandra Bland.
Right.
But you know, I've been pulled over 11 times. I've been slammed on the ground of police. I had one put a gun to my head when he saw I
Mm-hmm.
was educated, and he was
Right.
threatened that I was gonna be articulate enough to get him
Yeah.
fired. He literally said if I take him to court or anything, he's going to come back and kill me. I've had these things happen. And some of my friends
Right.
and family get upset with me and they're like, okay, well, it's not all cops. Okay, well, you can't, you got it. Or they'd be like, well, what did you do? And I'm just like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
sometimes
See,
the reality is the only crime I had was being black, and they don't want to
exactly.
accept that.
That
So,
bugs me because I've talked about my situations too, and some black people in a
well, what did you
highfalutin
do to
judgmental
provoke them?
way,
How did you
they would say,
talk to
"What did
them?
you do to provoke them?" I didn't do shit to provoke them. I didn't do anything
I
wrong.
just sometimes provoking them is
Right,
telling them that they're not doing what they're supposed to,
right. All I
which they're
did,
not.
right, all I did was leave my apartment to go pick up my food that I had ordered and pay for
Right,
my food and go home. But I didn't go. I did not get to go home that night because this bitch decided that he wanted to target young black men. Okay, he wanted to fill a fucking racist quota.
right.
So when I tell him that I'm on seizure medication, he didn't show any fucking type of sympathy to me.
None.
He grabbed me around my throat and told me he'd make me have a fucking seizure.
Yeah.
Okay? Violently grabbed me around my throat with both of his hands and told me he'd make me have a fucking seizure. Then he put those damn handcuffs on me
See.
and put me in that paddy wagon.
See.
Okay? And then when we got to the police station, he was laughing with his coworkers,
Yeah, because
talking
he knew
about,
what he
oh,
did. He made his
right.
quota.
I heard him laughing. And those were his exact words. "I got me a lot of them tonight. I made my quota. I like to
Well,
keep the boss happy." That's exactly
well,
what he
with
said.
that said, Cartes, what's important is this is why it's important that we need to pass reform like the George Floyd policing bill. Now, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
going to get on my comments about how I feel about the president and vice president tonight, but I will say
Right.
that they have surprised me a little bit with their ambitiousness of doing some of the things that they promised. I will, however, I won't. The Stop Asian Hate thing. They had
Oh
only
God,
three.
that.
They only had three fucking hate
Right.
crimes.
Mm-hmm.
Three. Three.
Right.
Let's not even to how Asians have profited with the white man on
Mm-hmm.
going into our neighborhoods and
Right.
opening liquor stores and stuff, then treating us like trash. How they follow us in
Yeah.
stores. How they also attributed to the slave trade. Let's not forget the
Mm-hmm.
Shao dynasty,
Oh, I
and
haven't.
how
Right.
they ain't ready for that conversation. And yet they had three hate crimes, which I will not comment on if they were justified or not.
Mm-hmm.
But then Congress, literally 4 days later, what was it? 100? It was 99-2 or something like that, or 90.
I think it was. I think they said it was only like one person who voted against it.
And
Maybe.
it was, I
Maybe.
think it was a
Maybe
black
two.
senator. I think it was Cory Booker, because he was like,
Oh,
why
really?
are we doing this? And I
Mm-hmm.
respect them for it. Yet the
Right.
George Floyd Act has been sitting there for a year.
Right.
And then they today say, hey, let's go ahead and give the black folks a holiday. Mind you, we know white folks you're gonna start seeing commercials saying get a 10% off mattress.
Oh God. For
We're,
Juneteenth, right?
we're gonna start seeing that. And then
Yeah.
two, let's be real. How many companies are gonna give everyone a day off and see what is? I've already seen people with statuses. Oh, I might get to that tomorrow off. I said that's great, but let's look at the bigger picture here. Is this gonna stop you from being profiled? Is this gonna do
Nope.
anything about when you're lied to or hurt or harmed by the police?
Right.
Absolutely not. All it's doing is getting you to shut up So you guys
Right.
can be off tomorrow and party this weekend and hopefully forget all about it.
Exactly. That's what I called it, a
And it's a
pacifier.
distraction from them
Right.
ending unemployment soon.
hmm It's a distraction. It's a pacifier. They know how to pacify black people
Yeah,
in the
throw them
title,
a
and
bone.
and to lull us back to sleep because they don't want us to stand up. Look, there's one meme that I noticed about this whole Asian thing, right? And it's very true. It says that the Asians did not have to march, protest,
None,
beg,
none.
or any of that to
Or
get a bill
forfeit your
passed.
oppression.
Right, to get a bill passed, to specifically protect them. And here we are, we've been being tortured and beaten and lynched and everything else for hundreds of years, and they have not passed shit to specifically protect us. They still not have yet they still have not,
Right.
passed the anti-lynching bill, right? Still not have passed the anti-lynching bill, and the Ku Klux Klan is still in fucking existence to this day.
Even
And
though it was
speaking about,
made by an arguably racist president who
mhm,
who the supporters, he actually made it illegal for them to exist, and they still, matter of
right.
fact, did you see that story where they were in, I think it was Alabama or something, recruiting people? And they were
No,
out in
I didn't
Southern
see it.
Maryland last year.
hmm I'm not surprised.
They were out in
Right.
Southern Maryland. I don't know which part of Maryland, actually trying to recruit and create a chapter. It's
hmm
scary. And they call it white pride, but the reality is we know what it is. You know,
See, don't get me started on that.
yeah,
Because
the
what they
term
got to
reverse
see,
racism,
look, what they got to be proud of. All
right?
they've done is go. I'm going to keep it real.
Colonizing.
All they've done is gone across the globe, and they've never gone anywhere and tried to get along with the indigenous people or whatever land they were at. They always showed up and tried to take over, manipulate, plot, steal, rape, and pillage. That's all they've done wherever they go,
And
and that's
and
not,
Carl
and
Tays,
that's right.
folks, what is that word, folks? It starts with a C. Colonization.
Colonized. Yeah, exactly,
So,
exactly. They showed up here under the pretense of being friendly with
and
their
looking for
poison
land
blanket,
and spices.
huh?
Then Christopher
Yeah,
Columbus, did he say he was looking for spices to trade with the Indians, something like that? Well, isn't that what they
yeah.
teach us in school? He went on a
Mm,
voyage to trade with the Indians, and then they skip all the brutality and all they. What did they do? They say he
right.
was trading, and then somehow they tell the story about Thanksgiving and how we all sat across from each other, and next thing you know, we have America.
Right. They don't talk about what they showed up with those blankets,
Genocide.
um, laced
Genocide.
with smallpox. They intentionally gave them blankets that had a disease on them so they could kill them. You know,
Genocide. So,
exactly. We're going to talk about some of these successful black towns too, because a lot of
yeah,
our
that's what I was
black
going to
people,
say. That's what.
a lot of our black people, make these comments about, well, if we were to act better, if we treat each other with respect, maybe they'll treat us better. I hate that. I hate that because there was a time when black people did treat each other better. We had respect for each other, and they were still killing us. There were,
Black Wall Street,
I,
Rosewood.
I found out that there were actually over 100 black towns across the country in the early 1900s. Okay, so black people were
I
working
didn't
together and
even know what
respecting
100.
each other.
I thought it was
Huh?
only like I thought it was all I knew about. This is just the education
hmm
system. All I knew, and
Right.
I minored in African American studies, and all I knew
hmm
about was Tulsa, Rosewood, and Allentown, right in
Right.
California, right. And there
hmm
was one more in Miami in Texas, but anyways, but go ahead.
And there was one in North Carolina, Wilmington, and
They were all
there
over
were
in the South, in the
right
South.
there were a lot, and there was even a prosperous black area here in Baltimore. But black people were together and doing things successfully, and in a lot of cases, they were outshining and outdoing
Excuse me.
Caucasians. Okay,
Mm.
they were outdoing Caucasians, and I heard that back on Black Wall Street, Caucasians were even coming there getting loans from black people, and black people was loaning money to Caucasians. Now we're not in a position to be given loans. We're in the position of just being consumers.
And,
And
and touching on that, that is the reason what you just said. Why, when people get upset with me when I make comments about Hispanics or Asians or white
mhm,
folks, I always say that is why we cannot be racist. We could be
right,
prejudiced, but I
hmm
always break it down like this: if you have an oppressor that has kept you from moving forward, they've harmed you, they've hurt you, they've killed you, and you are not happy with their actions, and because of that you
hmm
hate them, That is
Right.
called malice. That is called
Right.
disdain. It is not racism. So if I see someone
Mm-hmm.
outside and who's called the police on me, a fat white lady who's
Mm-hmm.
called the police on me 10 times because of
Yeah.
noise, and I say that fat white bitch, I'm not
Oh
racist,
God. Right.
but I'm not racist.
Right.
I
You
am
said
going to make
okay.
an
Right.
observation because that's exactly what she is and acting like.
Uh-huh.
If you are an oppressor and you're hurting me because of my race, you are
Mm-hmm.
a white person who is using
Right.
your power to hold me down. That is
Right.
racist. We cannot do
Right.
that because we do not have enough clout.
Right. We
So,
can't be racist. I always say the same thing. We
yeah,
can't be racist,
kill me
but
with
we
that.
can be prejudiced.
That's racist. No, it's
Um,
not. And it's not even
and we
prejudice,
right. Well,
arguably,
we right. We can be
because you can't
justifiably
prejudge something
prejudiced.
you live.
Right. Exactly.
So no.
Um, I've lived through that shit. I've talked about another situation where I've been in a hospital before down
Wow.
south
Don't tell
where
me they gave you bad treatment and gave someone else better.
well, I didn't know at the time, but this hospital
Okay.
had a reputation that I did not know about, where basically it had a reputation for killing off black people. Um,
Mm.
where black people will go into this hospital for something simple and wind up dead.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard of a teaching hospital before, right? Where they have a lot of med students,
Mm-hmm.
residents. Well, this was a teaching hospital. And basically in this hospital, what they would do is they would use black people as guinea pigs for their students, for their med students. And that's what they were trying to do to me. They were
Kind of like the
using me as a,
Tuskegee, kind of like the Tuskegee
yeah,
experiment.
yeah, they were using me as a guinea pig, doing all types of shit to me, telling me that one of the doctors came into my hospital room, a white doctor, and he said, you know what, Mr. Ransom, you're not doing good at all. You need to start making funeral arrangements. He actually said those words to me. He told me I needed to start planning my own funeral, right? And I was getting worse and worse when I was in that hospital because they were not trying to save me. They were not trying to save me. And I told my mom, I said, I need to get out of here because if I don't get out of here, I'm not going to make it.
Right.
And when we informed them that she was going to take me out of there, they tried to stop us, right? They were like, you shouldn't move him. He's not going to survive that trip back to Baltimore. And if he goes back to Baltimore, he should go back in an ambulance and put him in a
Disgusting.
hospital, right? Okay. Well, my mother didn't listen to that. She drove me back here in her car and I was in horrible shape after they got through with me. Okay. I got back here to Baltimore. I was in such bad shape. The church that I was involved in at the time, my pastor at the time, when he came to the hospital, he gave me last rites, right?
Mm.
Because I was in such bad shape after they got through with me, I was at death's door. I was right at death's door. But after being up here for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, I started getting better. I started getting better and stronger. They told me I was going to end up on dialysis and die, right? Now
That's disgusting.
this was over 12 years ago, 12, 15 years ago, but I've never done a day of dialysis. I've
Mm.
never done dialysis. They told me I was going to end up on dialysis and die, but I haven't. I've never done dialysis. My kidneys are normal. But if I had stayed there and listened to what they were telling me, I
Mm.
wouldn't be here right now. I wouldn't be here right now. I would be dead if I had listened to them. So when I don't trust the medical system, it don't only have to do with Tuskegee. I live my own fucking personal Tuskegee
Preach, man.
experience. Right?
Preach.
It's still going on to this day.
Preach.
Still going on to this day.
Preach.
You know, so this whole thing about making Juneteenth a holiday, and one of my
I'm here
cousins
for
who
it.
I right, one of my cousins who I've never met in person because I have a huge family. He jumped on my post
Oh,
because I literally have hundreds of cousins, and he was like, "Well, we got to start somewhere, and at least they're
oh
acknowledge,
God.
at least they're acknowledging wrongdoing." I said, "Them
No, they're
making
not.
this a holiday is not acknowledging wrongdoing.
No,
If they
it's
were
the
right,
midterm. They know that unemployment is about to end soon, and that people have to get back to work. They know the economy is about to be interesting. People are going to start bitching that they can't get jobs, so they
hmm
know they need to keep the approval rating high. Because guess who the
right,
pandemic hit the worst? Us.
mm,
So they know
exactly,
in the coming months, states and stuff are going to start saying, we got to cut off the $300. I know Maryland just in the last week, this week.
hmm
I know Virginia said they're going to keep it till August. DC's going to keep it until
hmm
whenever. But regardless, it's all going to end in September. Right after
right,
that's the end of vacation season, right? And what's going to
yeah,
happen is they know that their approval rating is about to go down. So they just wanted to say something for the midterms so they can say, oh, look, we're
hmm
touting. We were here for you guys. We still are looking out for you. They just want something to tout. And that's fine. I'm okay with it. But I need the intent. If you have good intent, you should have added the George Floyd Act with it.
They should have.
Or something.
They should have added that. They should have added the anti-lynching bill to it as well. And damn it, we should be getting reparations.
Reparations.
Okay,
that conversation.
they've given reparations to everyone else except our people.
Even get this, Carlton, even the Japanese who were interned for 2 weeks during World War II after the bombing of Pearl Harbor, and arguably they I'm not going to say that's never okay, but it's actually a justifiable interning. I hate to say that, but it was during a time of immigration, but it's understood. They got each family got $48,000. Do you know how much money that is in 1946? In 1946, every Japanese family got $40,000. Know what their excuse for reparations is? They said it's too expensive, but yet we were able to pass $3 trillion bills to give every American money. And then not only that, their argument, and I remember I was in AP government in high school, and I literally, me and one of my friends were in a debate. I'm actually tagging him. We were on a debate team, and a white girl, let me actually tag him so he can comment. A white girl. I'm not.
Somebody commented too. How'd you give us a holiday? Right.
Yeah. A white.
How'd you give us a holiday that celebrates our freedom 2 years after? Yeah. I'm listening.
So
you said a white girl did what?
So the white girl literally, we were in a debate, and know what she said? She said, "Well, black people." Hey, sorry, y'all. She's just into the conversation.
Yeah.
She blatantly said that black people already get reparations. We're spending enough money on welfare, food stamps, and billions of dollars on prison. She said, "How are we going to give them reparations when they're spending when they are free and doing whatever, they're spending all their money and going to jail?"
The majority of people on welfare are Caucasians. All white people.
Caucasian women.
It's not us, right? And we're in prison because they keep targeting us.
Right.
Okay, they keep targeting us. They did things like intentionally planted drugs in our neighborhoods, right? They planted drugs in our neighborhoods, and then once they planted drugs in our neighborhoods, then they declared a war on drugs,
right?
So they could then use that to throw black men in jail.
And guess what? What did it? And that's when private prisons really boomed, because that's what they did. Governors, especially in the South, said that, hey, let's open up these prisons, and if you give us this many inmates, we will make sure you get reelected.
Right.
And we will make sure that we put money in your pocket. And that's how a lot of these governors and stuff got rich. Even local sheriffs. And including the bitch in Dallas who hugged that lady after she...
Judge Tammy?
Huh?
You talking about Judge Tammy?
Yeah, or you know what I'm talking about, the lady who, and that's why some of the people are flocking to
that white woman. You mean that white woman who shot Botham Jean in his apartment?
Yes, and people are flocking down to Dallas this weekend for Juneteenth, and I'm like, you guys do remember what Dallas did to us, like, and the fact that they supported it. They gave they gave her $1 million on her GoFundMe to help her legal process.
That's what they did with George. They did that with George Zimmerman too when he murdered Trayvon. He got a whole lot of money. That cop who murdered Mike Brown, they made him a millionaire overnight. They made him a millionaire overnight for murdering Mike Brown.
Right.
See, they reward, some white folks reward other white people for killing black people.
Right.
Okay.
Well, what is that called? Remember slavery times with the patty rolls? What's it called? Bounties.
Right. Exactly.
The police system comes from that. People forget that.
Oh, I know. It comes from slave patrol to catch our ancestors who tried to break free. Okay? And that's actually something that I talk about in my upcoming film that I'm going to be shooting next weekend. Okay?
I can't wait.
This is a film that's very important to me. It's my first film that will have some same gender loving characters in it. Right? Now, I didn't want my first couple of projects to have anything to do with that because I'm not ashamed of my sexual orientation, but I'm not defined by my sexual
Right.
orientation. My sexual orientation is just one aspect of me. Okay.
Okay.
So,
You
but
know,
this
I
is
don't care.
my, right. But this is my first film that actually will have some same gender loving characters in it. And to me, it's like a groundbreaking thing. And I see it as a spiritual thing as well, because the main thing about this film is it celebrates a brotherhood, a friendship between
Mhm.
six black men from different backgrounds who have a close brotherhood despite the fact that they come from different backgrounds, because three of them are same gender loving, two of them are heterosexual, and one is bisexual, but they still have a close brotherhood, and they are there for each other, without any judgment. And
That's not
and they all celebrate and uplift black people, and both of the black heterosexual brothers are in loving, caring relationships, romantic relationships with black women.
mm.
Okay. I'm very intentional on showing healthy black love in a time where everybody likes to focus on dysfunction. Okay.
A Tyler Perry.
Yeah,
Tyler Perry.
it's Tyler Perry.
Tyler
They
Perry.
focus. I know Tyler Perry. People like, what would you do if he called you and wanted you to be in one of his movies? I'm like, well, first of
I
all, I
will.
would need to see. I will first of all, I would need to see the script. I'm
Right.
not going to just say yes just because it's Tyler Perry, because I'm
Uh,
not going to do just anything Tyler Perry wants me to do
actually,
just because he has a name,
when you
huh?
said that, so when you said
Right,
that,
right.
he has approached me on Twitter. And
Mm-hmm,
I showed it to everyone because I am Tyler Perry's #1 critic in the world. I
mm-hmm.
don't like him. I don't like him being stands for. He's embarrassing and he's closeted. But we won't go
Right.
there. But we all know. Look at the men he puts in his stuff. Come on,
Mm-hmm.
like come on now. And then if you've
Yeah,
seen Ruthless and people are like, oh well, someone's helping him write that. That's his fantasy. If you look at Ruthless, that's his fantasy. But anyways, I'm
yeah.
not going to get it right now.
Well,
Tyler Perry's actually, huh?
we're not going to get caught up on him, but also I don't like what he does with that damn show, The Have and Have Nots. Right. First of all, the only redeemable thing about that show
There's all the
is the
black people.
fact that it well, yeah, maybe that too, but there's some white people in it also.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the redeemable things about it, the only one of the only redeemable things about that show is that he shows a black father who loves
His gay son.
and accepts his same gender loving son. I don't particularly use the term gay, and I will tell you
Okay.
why I don't use that term gay.
Okay.
I don't use gay because of what I learned about that whole thing over the past 10 years or so, of how things went when they first came up with it.
Okay.
When white folks first started the gay movement, they did not want black people at the table with them.
Hell, no. They still don't.
Okay, and they still don't. There's still a lot of
That's
racism to this
I
day.
said it on my
And
other podcast the other day for
right,
Pride. I said y'all out
right,
here marching. They don't. They
hmm
see you as fetishes and BBC. Everyone knows what
right,
BBC
and
is. Go
yeah,
ahead.
and James Baldwin. Everybody knows James Baldwin.
Mm-hmm.
He's referred to today as a gay icon, right? James Baldwin was very open about his homosexuality,
Mm-hmm.
but he did not refer to himself as gay.
Okay.
There's actually an interview that he did with this white journalist by the name of Richard Goldstein,
Mm-hmm.
where he's asking him about gay, and he's like, he's never identified as that. He didn't see that. But he basically was saying that he didn't see that as anything that black folks or black homosexuals or whatever needed to identify themselves as. More or less, he was saying that he saw that as a way for white homosexuals and lesbians to carve out their own niche of
Mm-hmm.
white supremacy,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he did not identify as gay. Gay is white to me.
Interesting.
I use same gender loving because for one
That's
thing,
how I feel about the word pride. So I get it.
right, right. So same gender loving, I like it because it has the word love in it. Also,
Okay.
it came from a black man,
Interesting.
about a black man by the name of Dr. Cleo Monago.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Cleo Monago was a black man who came up with the term to be culturally affirming to us with same gender loving,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's why I don't use gay. That's why I don't tie myself to LGBTQ and all that, because every time I turn around, they keep adding another letter, and I don't want to be tied to everything that they put in
Yes.
those letters. Huh? What you
No,
say?
don't get me started on those letters. I can't.
I'm tired. I'm tired of all those letters.
And then,
I don't
and
want
then,
to
when
be
you, and then when you don't embrace it, you're called homophobic. If you're straight,
right.
you're called homophobic. And
Hmm.
if you are in, as you say, SGL,
Hmm.
and you don't embrace it, you don't support the cause. Just like
Right.
when there's certain black people we don't like Candace Owens or something, just because we could still love them, but tell them that they're misguided when we don't. you know, there's people that you don't have to support or
Right.
understand. It doesn't mean you're not for whomever, you know.
hmm
But that's
I can disagree with another brother or sister and still
you
love them and
educate them,
support them.
but you
I
still
can
can
still
educate.
right. Educate them. I can still love them and support them. Even we don't see. So a lot of our people have this thing of thinking that we have to agree on every single thing in
No,
order to be supportive of each other or like each other. I mean, to this day, I have some black people who don't like me because I'm so outspoken about being pro-black. I have some other black people who would turn their backs on me because I'm outspoken about putting black people first.
Cortez,
About putting,
I agree with you. Look, I grew up a black Republican,
hmm
and I know that R word and black make people cringe.
Right.
But black Republicans today, like Diamond and Silk and Ben Carson, are not the ones like Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice. Let
hmm
me be clear, folks.
Well, let me say something about Carson right quick. Um,
Oh boy.
Ben Carson. No, look, Ben Carson. First of all, people talk about him, and I'm not being funny when I say this.
No, say it.
He's not even aware what the fuck he's doing. If you really pay attention to him, if you're observant of him, he don't know what he's doing.
No,
He's
I don't even
not.
think he
He's
knows where
not
he is half the time.
exactly. He
His
does.
hearing, his Senate hearing to be appointed on Trump's cabinet was
Mhm.
embarrassing. I
Right.
really think that he was just and why
Some
wasn't he the Surgeon General or something? Like he
right.
blatantly was put there in a position that caters to black people mostly for
Right.
fair housing.
Well, if you notice, if you really pay attention to him, something is wrong with him neurologically. Okay. Do you
Ironically,
notice?
he's a surgeon.
Yeah. Do you notice how when he
He,
speaks now,
he always
he's
goes like
constant, he's constantly blinking. His eyes are steadily
goes
blinking,
like
like
this. Yeah.
something's wrong with him. And one of my friends saw him in an interview a few years ago. And the interviewer asked him about when he ran for president.
Mm,
And according to this friend of mine who saw the interview, Ben Carson had totally forgot that he ran for president. He didn't even remember that he ran for president.
mm.
So
Come on,
this
Ben.
man,
Come on,
he
Ben.
don't even know what the fuck is going on. I think they've programmed him and telling him what to say. He's a puppet. He don't know what the fuck's going on. I feel sorry for him. Actually, I feel really sorry for him. You know,
Yeah, and then of course he was
I
put
don't
in the
think
most. And what
right.
upset me was that Donald Trump did was he put him in the most not affirmative. I don't use affirmative action. I support affirmative action. And
hmm
they put him in the most stereotypical cabinet position there was.
Right.
The head of urban housing and development. If you really
hmm
respected him and his smarts, you would have let him be
Right.
the Department of Health. Now Trump did get a Surgeon General was black. I will give him that.
hmm
But
Right.
it's like Ben Carson. Why'd you give him housing?
hmm
If anything, why'd you give him housing? Put him somewhere for health or interior, something where he can make an impact. But you put him there just to be able to say, I put a black person here in a position that my oversight really doesn't matter. So,
Right.
and I don't want to hear from you because no one, let's be real, that department and energy are the two that the presidents really don't care about. They were forced.
Yeah, you're right.
They were forced to care about those. They were forced to add those. They don't care about those departments. So
hmm
and there's so many laws for both of them that they really don't have much power except for the funding. That's it. So,
You're exactly right. And yeah, we talked about the Fourth of July some
someone
and
said
for
this campaign was 8 minutes.
huh?
Someone said this
if
campaign
that,
was about 8 minutes. That is funny.
if that. But for the people who are watching right now, go back and look at some recent recordings of Ben Carson and how he's steadily blinking.
Look
You
at
can
his
tell,
confirmation hearing. It's in his,
right?
they asked him something about if he's going to be biased because Trump has vested interest in housing. And he
hmm
literally couldn't. He literally stuttered and couldn't answer the
Right,
question. And
right.
exactly, yeah. I just thought
Yeah.
because he was
So,
weird. And then
yeah,
don't
so
get me
no,
started.
no,
His
no,
wife
because
can't say.
because if you look at like old interviews of him, like years and years ago, like
Mm,
from the '90s or whatever, he wasn't like that,
mm,
and he didn't speak like that. He was more, sharp with his thoughts.
right,
He wasn't like that. It's like something happened to him or something was done to him, and that's
right.
why I feel sorry for him. You know, I don't go in on him because I really actually believe that the brother don't really know what the fuck is going on.
Me neither.
Like,
I've
like,
met him.
like,
I've met him, and he's a little. where he got famous, and I don't want to make this about Ben Carson. That's the last thing I was going to say.
Mm-hmm.
What made him famous was during the National Prayer Breakfast in 2009. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
2000, yeah, it was 2009
Yeah.
or 2010. Obama had made a prayer or something, and then he went up there and basically threw shots at Obama, saying, "Okay, you've been president, you did this health care, black people still suffering." So he got famous for basically being a black man coming at the president at the prayer breakfast, and
Mm-hmm.
then he did his own prayer that evangelicals were like, "Oh, this man is really with it. This is a black man we can get
Mm-hmm.
behind." So he was the
Yeah.
anti-Obama. That's what
Right.
happened. But then when you dug into it more, it was like, people, it's amazing how people don't read. People are messaging me asking, how do I see the live?
How do you see what?
That people are messaging me saying, hey, I don't see the live on Facebook. And I blatantly
They
said it's on,
don't see it? Oh, they're
because it's
going to
on Instagram.
Facebook.
Because it's on
Right, right,
Instagram.
right.
And I blatantly said on
Exactly.
Instagram. Blatantly.
Yeah.
But
And I saw you send it out in your story and everything on Facebook and
I'm
Instagram.
sending it out as we
So,
speak.
okay. But yeah,
Anyway,
we talked about, the 4th of July and Frederick Douglass' speech and why we shouldn't celebrate that. We got into that a little bit, but we should talk about some of the specifics about some of these black successful towns and let our people know that our people were doing the damn thing at one time. It wasn't always like this. And whenever we came
let's start with
together,
Rosewood. And then we're going to talk about
we're
Wall Street. Does
going to
it,
talk
you
about
look,
Black Wall Street, and then we're going to talk about Allentown that I told you about recently that a lot
yes,
of our
thank you
people
for
don't
that.
know about.
Allentown, no,
Right.
Allentown, let's start with Rosewood. We're going to start with the one that was most blatant. Then we're going to get the one that's
Mm-hmm.
systematic. Then we're going to talk about Allentown, because Allentown was they did that. That was one that poisoned the water, right?
Yeah, they poisoned the water system. Yes.
Yeah, we're going to get to that one. Because sometimes people don't realize they're doing other things to kill us all. That's why I'm like,
Yes.
y'all are worried about
Yeah.
COVID being a hoax. I'm like, it took more. Look at HIV and AIDS.
Mm-hmm.
Look, but we're not going to go there. That's another, But
Yeah.
Rosewood, if anyone knows Rosewood, and it's a movie. If anyone wants to know, if you
Yeah.
go on demand, it's free.
By John
Um,
Singleton. Yeah.
it's free. It's free right now because they're in honor of Juneteenth. They want
Mm-hmm.
to make all the black movies free.
Right.
Rosewood is a good movie. James from Good Times stars in it. Esther Roll stars in it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, Rosewood, and I'm gonna make it really quick. It was a black town. It was in Florida. And it was literally a town of about 3,000, 4,000 people. And they literally it was 80% black. And they had
Mm-hmm.
their own pencil factories. Mind you, this is in the swamp south. But they had a
Right.
pencil factory. They had their own. Sorry, my roommate just got home. They had their own pencil factories. They had their own enterprises. They had everything was lit. I mean, they literally did not depend on the white folks for nothing. Matter of fact, the white folks were coming to them to get their parts for their businesses.
Yeah, I remember I mentioned earlier that white folks were coming to black people for loans.
Right. That happened there
Right.
too. So
Mm-hmm.
what happened was the typical story. A black man, matter of fact, a black man wasn't even involved. But what always starts this bullshit? Some white woman always claims rape or assault.
Right.
But what happened was
Mm-hmm.
she never even encountered a black person. She was
Right.
cheating on her husband while
With
her
a white
husband was at
man.
work, being a whore.
Mm-hmm.
And they always say, and she had scars on her. Well, of course,
Mm-hmm.
in the South, infidelity and adultery is looked down upon. So when you
Right.
are looked down upon in that manner, she didn't want to lose support of the community.
Mm-hmm.
People get shunned.
Yeah.
So what do? You blame black men, and she said a black man raped her. Got
Mm-hmm.
the whole community. They literally burnt down and killed every black person they saw on New Year's.
Right. Yeah.
So you're fine.
And they use that same excuse in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood. They use that same excuse that supposedly a black man did something to a white woman, and they use that lie as an excuse to go over there and burn that down and drag black people out of their homes and so forth. And again on Black Wall Street, black people had all types of businesses.
Right.
We had our own bus company. And this was a few decades before Rosa Parks, right?
Mm-hmm.
On Black Wall Street, black people didn't have to worry about getting up out their seat for a white person because they had their own shit. We had our own shit. We didn't have to get up for a white person. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Fast, even in Wilmington, which was another black town, in North Carolina that white folks destroyed. because they can't stand to see black people independent and everything. Integration was not allowed because they wanted to be so-called nice and fair. Integration was only allowed to interrupt all the progress that our people were making together.
Yeah.
They didn't like the fact that we were being independent and outdoing them. In a lot of cases, we were outdoing them, doing things better than them, doing things in better quality than them, and they didn't like that, you
Right.
know. And they want to keep us under their control. That's why every time we build something, they destroy it. And with Allentown, how I found out about that was like 4 years ago or something like that. And what I read was that these two black men came together to form this town. One
Mm-hmm.
was a school teacher, one was like in the military, and they
Yeah.
went to get a they
Veteran.
went yeah, they went and got a bank loan, and they were given the bank loan because they thought that they wasn't going to be able to succeed. But the town succeeded. It became prosperous and thriving. And so what these white folks in this town did, well, who didn't want this town, who were not happy about this town being successful, was they poisoned the water system in this black town,
Of course.
you know? And so Flint, Michigan is not new. That poison water, that dirty, that's
No.
not a new situation.
They only bring urgency when it affects other colors of people, other
Mm-hmm.
cultures. But when it affects us,
Right.
just like Ebola. Ebola actually was in the
Mm-hmm.
pandemic, but it only affected black folks and Africans.
Right.
And
Right.
so it
So,
shows that they even Family Guy made fun of it and made that it was a
mhm.
scene where it said Ebola, East Bola when they were in Africa.
Okay. Yeah.
And I'm just like, this, they made a joke out of it. And it's just like, but once rich people started getting COVID, what happened was, whatever the intent was, whoever created it, it started
Right.
affecting people that were important.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they said we're going to take advantage. But what you're saying about Allentown, yeah, they poison water, they do other crap like that. Even there's people who stay in public housing or in not so, I don't like calling it ghetto because I think that's a really ignorant term. They
Right.
still
Right.
stay in lower income housing or more urban housing, and
Mm-hmm.
will do stuff like um, mess up the AC on purpose to get people to move out. When they hear of like Muriel Bowser, as much as people in DC love to tout her because she did that Black Lives Matter Boulevard, and we're not,
Right.
and then we're going to talk about wanting inclusiveness with integration, but yet we ignore
Right.
we
That's
ignore
funny.
that
Yeah.
a lot of these black leaders, including Keisha Lance Bottoms, have done things
Mm-hmm.
where they pay off black people to move into a more suburban, into a more out of the area, and then they put these white businesses up here.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Muriel Bowser is a proponent of this. She literally,
Mm-hmm.
there was Southeast DC, there were so many issues where they had so many maintenance issues and stuff out of nowhere. But ironically, once enough inhabitants leave, they pay off the
Mm-hmm.
rest, and then next thing you know, we have a new club built there. We have a new
Right.
restaurant facility
Mm-hmm.
because we want to attract different people to DC. And then with integration, the last thing I was going to say too about that, one thing that we need to stop doing is wanting to be included. It's okay to be wanting to be included and be equal. But when they already have their plans to whatever, and we always want to be the black person to work there, we
Mm-hmm.
want to whatever, make our own, because I think integration hurt us.
It did.
It really did.
It
And
did.
most black teachers got fired. Black doctors lost their practices. Black lawyers were no
Mm-hmm.
longer used. We forget Thurgood Marshall was a black lawyer before he was a
Right.
Supreme Court justice. There
Mm-hmm.
were many black doctors. If you look it up, there were so many who actually did big surgeries that helped a lot of military veterans of World War II. And they were underpaid.
Right.
But they had
Mm-hmm.
them go to service because they didn't want us to be in practices. So we have got to continue to do our own thing and strive correctly, you know?
Right. And I actually have a problem with that word equality.
Okay.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah,
Because
please.
I'm like, for me,
Mhm.
it's like, why do we want to feel equal
Excuse
to
me.
those, to me, to those savages that
Well,
have done horrific things to us? We should know that we should already know that we're
let's be
better.
real here. The reason
We're
they
better.
don't, we're actually better anyway. Why do you think they always have to put us in jail to put a record on
Right.
us? Look at
Mm-hmm.
look at baseball. They kept us from competing in baseball until 1942. Why?
Mm-hmm.
Well, look at baseball now. All the good players are people with brown skin. We have
Right.
Afro Latinos and black people taking over baseball. Basketball, There's only 7 white players. 7.
Mm-hmm. And
Football.
Afro Latinos are black too.
Yes, except for Cardi B. She lied. There's no Afro about her. But
Oh, she's not.
and then there's no
Okay.
and then you go to look at football. The only
Right.
position that is predominantly white is quarterback and
Mm.
linebacker. Why is
Right.
quarterback? Because they consider that one that's mental.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, but look
Right.
at Michael Vick, look at Dominic McNabb, look at some of the black quarterbacks who took it by storm. My team, the
Right.
Philadelphia Eagles, got rid of a white quarterback for a black one that played better, but they did not want to admit that. They kept saying he was smarter, but when we switched quarterbacks, he was much better. They don't want to give that to us.
Exactly.
Look at the Ravens.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm. I want to talk about one more black town that a lot of people don't know about as well. That was actually in New York. For everybody who lives in New York, and everybody who loves to visit New York, and I was actually there last week for a rehearsal because the guy who's playing my character's love interest lives in New York, so I went up there to rehearse for him.
okay.
So I was there like last Friday. Yeah. Yeah, that was last Friday. And so uh every time you walk through Central Park, I want y'all to think about the fact that where Central Park is located,
Uh-huh.
that big famous park in New York, that
That
used to be
don't forget about Central Park 5, that they did
right,
something dirty to us at. Don't forget about
right.
that. Go ahead.
Yeah, of course not. That when they see us made me angry, made me cry and angry. But when you walk through that park, you need to know that that used to be a black community located where that park is.
What happened to
Called
that? What happened to
called
that black
Sen-
man? And then we need
called
to go
Seneca,
over Wall Street also, so they know.
right. Called Seneca Village.
Mm.
White folks decided that they wanted to build a park. So they were like, where should we put it at?
Oh boy.
Um, right there. Never mind, those black people live there already. We'll get rid of them. Basically, that was the attitude. So that's what they did. They went in there and they dragged black people off their own land and killed them. The ones who wanted to fight back, they killed our people so they could build a fucking park.
Mm.
Okay. So
A
when
park.
you Right. So when black people want to constantly put other black people down and talk about how we need to do better, we need to do this and do that, I need y'all to think about that type of shit. What they've done to our people, what they continue to do to our people to this day. Our people did have our own shit, but they wouldn't leave us the fuck alone. Okay, if they had left us alone, we wouldn't be in the condition that we're in today now collectively. If they had left us alone, we would be in great shape today as a people
Well,
if they
that's the
had.
thing. They did not. They
Mhm.
don't want us to. They're
Right,
scared because they see
exactly.
what happens when we take over.
Right. We do better than them. They don't like that shit. So,
Yeah, so they
right.
we they got to put us 2 steps behind, and
Hmm.
it's uh, well, the same thing with Black Wall Street. This is the reason Black Wall Street in Tulsa was so fascinating was because unlike these other areas that were already inhabited by other people, this
Right.
area actually black people. So I'm not gonna bore you off history, but if anyone remembers the Trail of
No, they
Tears,
need to hear it.
well,
Mm-hmm.
The Trail of Tears, right? I said it right. The Indian
Hmm.
Removal Act. If anyone remembers, and what they did was in the southern areas, just like you said, they wanted to build more land. They wanted to build more stuff. They wanted to put more
Right.
shit that was unneeded. What did they do? They went to
Hmm.
the Indian reservations and they kicked them out, and they made them
Right.
march all the way to Oklahoma and Indiana. So what
Hmm.
happened was people forget that Indians also owned slaves.
Right.
Hello, Pocahontas.
Oh
They owned
yeah.
slaves.
Hmm.
They owned slaves as well. So what happened was they owned slaves, and them owning slaves, the slaves had to march too. So what
Right.
ended up happening was they got to Oklahoma. Oklahoma decreed that there would be no slavery on this land. So the
Hmm.
black folks said, "Great, we already have the materials and stuff to build." So they made their own enterprises, and they literally,
Right.
what was the name? JB something. You know what I'm trying to say? He was the one who started it.
Morgan.
It
Is
was
it
him, and
Morgan?
no, it was another, not JP. No, it was something. Regardless,
Rothschild?
it's
One of them
yeah, something
people.
like that. JB Rothschild, something. We'll
Hmm.
look at it later.
Yeah.
But or if anyone's watching, can you do a fact check? But um,
Right.
they started that, and they literally were doing well. Had their own banks. The largest bank in the United States, other than
Hmm.
J.P. Morgan Chase, was that
Yeah.
one. And
Yeah.
what ended up happening? A guy was literally working in an elevator shaft. an elevator shaft, and he
Right.
slipped and fell and grabbed those
Hmm.
Rothschild. Okay, he
Yeah.
fell and accidentally and to catch his fall went like this to the white girl. She screamed. She
Right.
didn't even tell what happened. Someone in the hotel said they heard her be assaulted. Before they
Right.
even left, they already were down at the hotel, coming for his head. They had guns, and then on, they destroyed the town. Let me tell you how bad it was. They literally were bombing them. Remember, the
Yeah.
police
They dropped.
department was giving them bombs. They
Yeah.
were
They dropped
flying planes and bombing
flying
the
planes
black
and
city.
dropping bombs. Yep.
The people
And
didn't
some.
know that. People thought it was just endless violence. They literally bombed. They made the intent to destroy the
Yeah.
town.
Some people. Some reports say it was over 300 people who died, but there's also some reports that I saw originally when I first learned about Black Wall Street that it was like thousands of black people who died
Mm.
there. Um, and who didn't do anything wrong. All they did was work hard and they were successful.
That's
You
but
know,
that's a crime here. We can't do that.
I know, I
Having a
know.
nice car. When I had a
Hmm.
Lexus, and now I have the new Infinity and stuff. I black on black rims, black everything. I get
Hmm.
followed all the time because it's just
Yeah,
doesn't look right for me to have something nice. But
right.
if you have a hoopty, oh I'm sorry, if you have a hoopty, you do drugs because it's a drug car. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you
Yeah.
can't win. You have to have a Toyota Corolla or something for them to leave you alone because they'll
Hmm.
think you're a white woman named Pam with 3 kids.
Right. And then this whole thing that came out recently, I know we're all over the place, but this is a good thing. This is a good conversation. It's a great conversation. Like this whole thing that came out recently about this whole bonnet thing, the do-rag thing, stuff like that. And black folks judging each other over if you leave the house with a do-rag on, that means you don't have any class and all this bullshit. First of all, I have left the house before with a do-rag on. I've never worn pajamas outside. I've never done no shit
Okay,
like that. Huh?
I have.
But I'm not judging anybody who has.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that somebody because they walked out the house with pajamas on that means they don't have any class. Because that's stupid to say that to me. But I recently I think it was in that speak out group, if I'm not mistaken, where somebody had posted a picture of a black woman with a bonnet on and a black guy with a do rag on. And it was like the do rag is the male equivalent of a bonnet. And anybody who wears this outside the house don't have any class and don't have no respect for themselves. That's a bunch of bullshit. I have respect for myself. I'm very aware of my blackness and proud of my blackness, but I have worn a do-rag outside before. That doesn't make me any less have self-respect for
Well,
myself.
since
I
when
still
wearing
carry myself with respect and
on
dignity.
black
And wait a minute, and somebody can be dressed to the hills to the nines in a fancy suit or a nice gown and be trash, so-called trash. Clothes don't make the person. It's what's in here and what's in there that makes you a king or a queen.
right?
Um, okay. So yeah, what were you gonna say? I'm sorry.
No, I said why this. Oh, by the way, just for everyone who want to go and rewatch this is going to be uploaded to YouTube later, right?
Well, it will be on YouTube eventually. What I got to do is,
Uh,
right? I did start a YouTube page for the C Note a while ago. I only put the first 2 episodes up there. So I did 25 episodes in my first season. So I got to really make myself sit down
do
and
this.
upload those other 20. What I do is
They,
also I do load it to Facebook as well. It will be on Facebook also. Once we do this tonight, I'm going to load it to Facebook.
yeah, let me know when you do that. That's what, and because I want everyone to understand this, and I want people to know who you are. You are a phenomenal young man who really
Thank you.
stuff, and I want I have a following. They
Mhm.
love you, and I need you. I need this up soon. I just want the people to see this. That's all.
It'll be up tonight.
All right.
I normally load it on Facebook right after I do it on Instagram.
All right. Well,
So
you got my information.
yeah.
But sorry, I just wanted to be clear to everyone who wanted to go back
Well,
and catch the rest of it.
well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that too. Because
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of times a lot of our people are against me because I am about putting out people first. I'm treated like I'm out here telling black people to go kill white folks. I've never said anything like that. I've never told anybody to harm anybody. I just say I put black people first. And then I have some black people telling me that I hate white people. First of all, as I've said on many occasions before, it takes energy to hate, right?
Yep.
It takes a lot of energy to hate. I'm honestly not wasting that energy on them. When
Right.
I wake up in the morning, I'm not thinking about hating white people. When I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking about saving our people,
Mm-hmm.
breaking us free from this, this prison that we're in, and totally and constantly being slaughtered. I don't sit around hating anybody. Okay. The same thing was said about Malcolm X. Malcolm X was called violent. He was never violent.
Hell
Okay. He
no.
never went out here and
And,
attacked
and
anybody.
that's
He never went,
fun fact.
huh?
Martin Luther King was more violent than Malcolm X. That's why
Right. Yeah, that's why they
they ain't
killed him.
ready for
But
him.
one second, Malcolm X, they say he was violent because he talked about self-defense, right? He
Mm,
never talked about just going out here and killing some random person. He talked
exactly.
about how we should stand up for ourselves and fight back when we're being attacked, when we're having those giant water hoses sicked on us and dogs sicked on us and being beaten upside the head. He was saying we should fight back and protect ourselves. He
Right.
never once said anything about going out here and just attacking somebody randomly.
Right.
Okay, but so I don't like how he's disrespected because he deserves as much respect as Dr. Martin Luther King does. Now,
Exactly.
Dr. Martin Luther King was killed because he started to become radical. Okay, and black people always talking about how we need to respect Dr. Martin Luther King, but they only respect the part of Dr. Martin Luther King that keeps white folks comfortable, right?
They ain't ready for that.
It keeps white folks, well, I'm going to keep it real. They respect the part that keeps white folks comfortable. That's why they always only talk about the I Have a Dream speech. And they only talk about one
They don't
section
want to
of
talk
that I
about
Have
letter
a Dream
from a
speech.
Birmingham jail because that's when he's had enough.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about when he's talking about going to
Right.
going to get reparations. He talks about how they get reparations to everybody else. And he said, we're going to DC to get our check. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about the fact that in his very last speech, where he said, basically, again, he was fed up. And he said, if they're not going to do right, we need to take our money out of white owned banks and put our money into black owned banks. They don't talk about that either.
Right.
You know, they only, like I said, they only talk about the Martin Luther King that keeps this racist system comfortable, and intact. Um, but Martin Luther King was fed up with this shit. He was fed up. And honestly, him and Malcolm was starting to become more and more alike and closer. And that's something they didn't want those two to join forces. They didn't want those two to join forces at all. Because they know that would have been something powerful. I see you outside now, but you're walking your dog. Jeffrey, can you hear me?
Right.
Can you hear me now? Yeah. So, what were you going to say? What were you going to say, Jeffrey? You can't hear me now? I can't. You're like not move. I don't hear you. Jeff, oh man, you need to go back in the house, Joe. Um, I can't hear anything he's saying now. Jeff, okay. Well, see if he'll come back on here in a minute. It was a good conversation. Hopefully he'll pop back up on here. He walked outside for a second and then we got bad reception once he walked outside. But I want to see if he's going to pop back up on here before I get up off here because we were not finished yet. But it was a great conversation. Yeah, I see they don't want black people to stick together. They sure don't want black people to stick together at all. Um, yeah. Soga said King was always radical. Of course he was, but they don't want to talk about that part of Martin Luther King. They don't never depict that side of Martin Luther King in films. There have been so many films done about Martin Luther King, but all the films only show that Martin Luther King, that keeps this society happy, that keep this racist system intact. They don't never show that Martin Luther King, they talked about he's had enough, or the one who talks about reparations, or how we should put our money in black owned banks. They never depict that Martin Luther King Jr. at all. So I'm hoping that Jeffrey will come back on here any second. Hey, what's up? Experiencing Daddy Love. That's right. So I'm waiting for Jeff to come on here. Actually on Instagram, um, There he is, right there. I talked long enough to get him back. So hopefully, he should be popping up on the screen in a second. All right. Yeah, there you go. You walked outside on me. I lost you.
I apologize,
Yeah.
everybody.
It's cool.
Well,
It's cool.
I have two babies at home, so
Mhm.
I thought, yeah,
I
I didn't
figured
know.
that's why you walked outside. I didn't see the dogs on camera, but I figured that's why you walked
Yeah, because
outside. Right.
yeah, I didn't want them shitting in the house, but yeah. So,
I respect that.
people will come
I
back.
understand.
Yeah, but go ahead.
Mhm. There's still some people in here. There's like 8 people in here right now. So yeah,
It's,
from what I see. Uh-huh.
oh, you're fine.
What were you saying?
So I know we were talking about Rosewood, and then you were talking about New York and the colonization.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Black Wall Street was where we left off, right? And then we said something after that.
We talked about Black Wall Street, and I don't remember exactly what it was. We were saying a
And it
lot.
was the term equality. We talked about that too.
Oh yeah, we talked about equality and the fact that actually we're better. And that's not being hateful. That's just the truth. It's just the truth. Like if we're gonna talk about like what happened at the Capitol, was that January 6th? Was that January 6th?
Speaking of that, well, no, it's funny. Remember when Black Lives Matter was going to have a protest 3 months
Mm-hmm.
before that? You
Right.
saw that they had the SWAT team out there. They had the National Guard. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
you had the
Mm-hmm.
National Guard. They had
Right.
everybody.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Everybody.
Everybody out there, the Capitol Police was letting the so-called, protesters in. They were helping them.
And here's the
You
thing:
know,
they're talking about oh, they want to give a medal to the people helping. The Capitol Police were the ones they were out. They were probably part of them doing it. So
they were.
I'm like, why would
They
you
were.
want to give a medal to? I don't support the police anyway, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
not friends with police officers. My friends and family know that. I will not associate
Mm-hmm.
with you if you are a police officer. And miss me with
Right.
the we need black cops bullshit because the black
Mm-hmm.
cops don't miss me with the oh we can't speak out against it or do anything because they're gonna fire us. Blah blah blah. Shut up. Shut up.
Well,
Shut up.
well, well. Actually, there have been a handful that have tried to speak out, but every time a black cop tries to speak out,
Uh-huh.
they get ostracized, and because there was a black cop, I don't remember his name, that really did try to speak up a
Okay.
few years back, and they went after him hard for trying to speak out, just like what happened with a black judge in Kentucky like 5 or 6 years ago. There was a black judge in Kentucky who stood up because they kept trying to get him to unjustly sentence black people to long jail sentences or innocent black people.
Mm.
And he refused to do that. So you want to know what they did to this black judge?
Uh-oh. They brought up his
Uh,
past about something, didn't they?
no, they put him on a 90-day suspension without pay, right? So basically they were
But yet when cops kill people, they get suspended with pay. Uh-huh. Go
right.
ahead.
So this black judge, he stood up for black people, and he got put on suspension for 3 months without pay. And so basically, what they were saying to him was, "Yeah, you might have that title of judge, but you really don't have no power. We're going to show you, N word, who got the real power. So
Mm.
the next time you think about standing up for your people, you think about your pockets. So that's
So
how they operate."
they did a professional buck breaking.
Right. Exactly. And that's why we need our own shit. We need to declare sovereignty. We need to start being strategic and have our own judicial system and everything. Some black people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that, but
No,
there's other black people who realize that we do need our own judicial system. We need our own businesses,
and
every
that is
type of thing.
just
Right.
just to teach people real quick how that can happen. It actually can happen. If we, for
Hmm.
instance, Black Wall Street, the way the courts and stuff are districted, they go by the community. So if anything
Hmm.
happens in the community, if the community is all black, that means anything that happens or goes to the court system will
Right.
also be black. So
Hmm.
if a town, like to get a congressman, you have to have at least 13,000 constituents. And
Right.
that's also the district court. So if you heard of circuit court and district court. So if there is a
Hmm.
town that is 20,000 people and it's predominantly black, that means the elected officials, the judges, the lawyers, everything will be black. So that can
Right.
happen. Just
Oh
because
yeah.
people probably like, how's that possible? That's how it happens.
Yeah. I always get that when I say that. Well, how is it even possible? We can't do
That's
this. We
how
can't do that.
it's called
Yeah.
gerrymandering. That's the
Hmm.
term gerrymandering. A lot of y'all pay
Right.
attention to government class. That's gerrymandering. Go ahead, John.
They don't pay attention to that. You
No,
know,
there's more
too
to
many of our
president.
people, too many of our people are happy on the plantation, and they really don't want. A lot of sadly, some of us don't want real freedom. We just want to be made more comfortable on the plantation. They just want master not to beat us as hard, right?
I'm weak. I'm weak.
Huh? What you
I'm
say?
crying. So I'm crying because that's true.
It's the truth, though. I'm sorry. Sometimes I don't know what to say out my mouth, but I'll be speaking the truth.
No,
Um,
you're just like me.
huh?
It's nothing wrong with being pragmatic. You can speak your mind
Right.
as long as if you
Hmm.
have substance behind it. It's the people who speak their mind and don't have substance. That's the problem.
Right. Right. And just like when Kamala was first announced that she was going to be on his ticket, and whenever a black person would question Kamala and her past, some other black people would jump on your post and say, "You just don't want a black woman to win, this and that," and that's a bunch of bullshit.
Let me say,
Nobody has more respect for black women than I do. I came from a black woman.
right.
My black mother is a beautiful black woman who is a strong black woman, and I would never
Well, the
disrespect
people who
black
say that
women.
didn't
But,
research her. They just see a black woman
right,
who's an
exactly.
AKA went to Howard, and that excused everything.
Yeah.
I'm like
And,
you guys do, and I'm not gonna bat. Everyone knows how I feel about her, and I have a
hmm
cousin that is still in jail right now from
hmm
her over sentencing him and
right.
pushing, you know. But regardless, my only thing is I'm happy that there is a black woman. She's black today. You know, she used Asian American
She
for
goes back and forth. She's
right.
black when it's
But
convenient.
my thing is, you guys need to hold her accountable. When she
Hmm.
made that comment a few months ago saying, "Oh, well, America's not racist," and I posted it, everyone got mad at me for posting it. It was okay, well, Trump did this or Trump said this. I said, I didn't say anything about Trump. This woman that you
Hmm.
guys defended because she's a black woman, but didn't hold her accountable for her high conviction rates and her never addressing it, or at least do what Hillary Clinton did and apologize, even
Right.
if it's fake. Even if it's
Well,
fake, at least
it
acknowledge you were
was
wrong.
fake. It was fake coming from Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
But
well,
uh,
at least acknowledge what you did was wrong, even if you don't fully believe it. At least she avoided because her campaign told her you don't want to
hmm
open that can of worms. So
right.
ignore, and it doesn't help you have a white judge, conservative judge husband, but we're not gonna go
Hmm.
there either. Who didn't give you any kids? But
Right.
anyways, but you're raising his kids, his white kids. But anyways, and when she did all that, um, when I posted that, it was a reminder to them that okay, I made a mistake supporting her, or they don't want to. It's just our
Hmm.
people are so quick to never want to be held accountable. It's okay to call her out. There were things that Obama did I didn't agree with.
What
Call
what
her
you
out.
see, what you see, sometimes some of our people have selective outrage.
Yeah, uh huh.
Because who was that senator, the black man who said America's not racist?
Oh,
And
Tim Scott.
they
They,
went after Tim. Some of these black people went after Tim Scott
but
hard.
she said it the next
Okay.
day and made it
And she
worse.
yeah, and they didn't go after her the same way they went after him. They made excuses for her saying
Yeah,
they
they
made
always.
excuses for her saying the same thing that he said,
Well,
right?
no,
Um,
their excuse was, well, you have to understand, she's with a white man and she was raised in a different way. He was from,
well
if she's, it doesn't
he has
matter. You
he has
heard
a
what he
white wife
said, huh?
too, so he has a white wife. They both have white spouses.
I mean, the excuses,
So
but I just said the reality is you guys
mhm,
voted for her. You like her.
mhm,
You felt for her fake charm for the Breonna Taylor thing. Y'all felt for her thinking that she cared about it. When this is a woman who literally said if she could, she thought Trayvon Martin was guilty as well, and that we don't know the whole side of the story. This is the same woman who said that when after she became Attorney General, but now that she wants to be Vice President, but the only reason she was picked was because Stacey Abrams is about that shit. She's not going to stand
mhm,
for bullshit, and Biden
mhm.
wants to keep his centrist base happy. So he
Right.
didn't want. He knew that if he's going to get a black woman, he needs to get one
Mhm.
that white folks were not going to feel was going to be too black or
Right, right.
help us
He
too
don't
much.
want that. He don't want that at all.
Yep.
And she was asked the question before the election, are you going to do anything,
And she
for
said
black
no
people?
for
And she
me.
said
Black people,
no.
no.
That's she said, no, I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do anything special for black people. But yet her and Joe Biden did something special for Asians. And I'm not knocking it.
I am.
But they well I am too, but But
That's bullshit.
he also signed an executive order to protect the LGBTQA plus whatever LMNOP community. And make no mistake, that was not for the black people that identify as LGBTQ. That was mainly for the Caucasians who are LGBTQ. Okay,
And fun
it
fact,
wasn't
and I said this on my other
right.
podcast the other day, 41% of white LGBTQ people voted for Trump.
They sure did. Yep,
They
and
did.
white
Yeah.
women, high percentage of white women too.
55%. I think it's 55 the first time,
hmm
53% the second time. The only reason
hmm
that he lost was because Stacey Abrams got the vote
Right.
out in swing states, especially Georgia.
hmm
So,
Oh
anyways,
yeah.
I wasn't trying to make this about politics. You see
And
people,
no, it's not.
you see people are falling off.
Well, you said you like politics too, but yeah,
But
it's what it
you
is.
see people are falling off
Oh
because they
yeah,
don't
I
want to hear
see.
the truth.
They don't. Yeah, the truth is not popular. It's not popular. It is
Yeah,
what
but
it
here,
is.
look, they're falling off. They're going, oh Lord, here they go. So, but anyways,
Right.
we definitely got to do part two or something.
Hey, yeah, we definitely need to do a part two. It's been a great conversation.
Yes, we got to do part two because
Okay.
this is good. And then what I'll do on my other Catfish podcast, maybe I can have you come on there as
I'll do
well.
that. I'll
Yeah,
definitely come on.
yeah.
Definitely come on.
So let me
Well, I
know if
really
this is up on Facebook so we can get this out to people who don't have Instagram or use it or didn't see it.
okay. I'm gonna upload it as soon as I get off it.
All
What
right.
time is it now anyway? I can't see the
It's
time. What
almost
is
8
it?
o'clock. That's why I was like, yeah,
Oh,
we
that's it. Oh, we could have went for 2 hours, but yeah. But we started talking about more serious stuff, and they got off. But yeah, it's cool. It's been like an hour and a half, so it's cool. It's a good time. But definitely let me know when you want me to come on your podcast.
all right.
I'll definitely do that, and I will have this up in a matter of minutes.
Let me
All
know so I
right.
can post it. All right, brother.
All right,
And
bro.
everyone, and one more thing, everyone, it is, and I want to be clear, we have nothing against Juneteenth. I am all for it. That we were just talking
I'm all
about
for
how the
you too.
battle is not over yet, and don't think this is
hmm
indicative of anything. If anything, do not get distracted. Keep your foot on Congress's neck. Keep your foot on the president's neck. This is not indicative of that. It is okay to go turn up tomorrow. If you were off tomorrow, go have fun. Go to the club. Go to Texas. I'm going to Texas. I'm turning up for Juneteenth.
Yeah.
I am.
Well, I was celebrating Juneteenth before they
Before it
decided to
became
make it a
popular.
holiday
And last
because
thing, folks,
wait a minute,
when next.
wait a minute, I'm gonna let you have the last word.
Oh, go ahead. Go
But
ahead.
I do it because I have a respect and an honor for our ancestors, not because this racist society decided to make it a legal holiday. I was celebrating Juneteenth before anyway, because of my respect for us as a people.
Amen.
So
And
what were you
y'all
saying?
don't fall for the profiting because the company sure did profit over the Pride movement. Every
hmm
time you look at any company, you see a rainbow over their logo.
Right.
Do not fall for cars being 20% off, or they'll do your taxes for free. It's okay to take advantage of it, but don't take your eye off the prize.
Right.
So
Exactly. Be more Film Fest. What's up, Kenneth? That's a friend of mine, bro of mine,
no,
who
I've seen
founded
his work. I've seen his
yeah,
work.
the Baltimore International Black Film
Yeah,
Festival.
I've
Yeah,
seen his work. Phenomenal. It is
yeah.
brilliant. His stuff is pragmatic. Like he doesn't just show the film. He showed like he doesn't even have to say anything. He depicts the greatness
hmm
in the film,
Right.
and you could get
Yeah, definitely.
the underlying message. He writes better than
hmm
Ryan Murphy actually, but of course they're not going
hmm
to give him the same clout because Ryan Murphy is a gay white man. We can talk about another.
Okay,
No,
okay. But definitely, we're going to do this again. There's going to have to be a part two. Just let me
yeah,
know. We can do it. Well, maybe we can do it for the 4th of July, possibly. But
let's do that. I'll be in Chicago, but we
uh,
can make time that week. Let's do that. Let's do that. We're gonna say we're gonna call it hypocrisy of 4th of July or blacks in 4th of July or something like that. We'll phone.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Peace to you, Kenneth Soga. He said, "Peace, brothers." All right, Jeff.
All right, man.
All right,
Bye.
peace, y'all. Bye.
How you do this thing?
I got it. All right, y'all. That was a great, powerful conversation with me and Mr. Jeffrey Ladrae, the dynamic Mr. Jeffrey Ladrae. We're going to be coming back again, probably the 4th of July weekend, to continue this conversation. So that will be actually my episode 2 for season 2. So I will see you then. And remember, stay blessed, stay black, and I love you all. Mwah. Good night, people. I love y'all.